What is happening, everybody? Welcome to the show. I know you're saying, wait a minute, hey, we got some different backgrounds going on. What in the heck is actually happening? Well, Anthony and I, unfortunately, are not in our normal locations. All of us are on location, and we're about as far apart as we've ever been before.
That is very true.
I'm in Montreal, and Anthony is in Hawaii. Like I said, I don't know if we
Yep.
can get further apart and still do this. Well, that's not true, um, because Anthony was in the Philippines. So actually, he was further apart at one time. So Anthony, real fast, I know you're getting on a plane. I know you wanted to jump on, say hello and do all kind of stuff. So go ahead and jump on, and then we will turn it over to our guest to introduce himself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me again. Super, excuse me, super excited to talk with you today. Like I said, I'm in Hawaii right now. I've got a really cool vlog, so we're going to be releasing it in the next couple of weeks. But again, I'm super excited to get to know a little bit more about Jesse and pick his brains tonight.
Yep. Aiden, how you doing, buddy? So Jesse, we have Jesse. I know it's Cardlines, and a whole bunch of other stuff. You have the TikTok, the Instagram, the website, the website. Let's see what else we got. Instagram, website, YouTube channels. They're all down below, so you can get there and everything. And I do want to hit some else. I'm gonna let you go ahead, introduce, say whatever you want to say. Open, then we'll get going, man.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. We are Cardlines, a news source for sports cards industry news. We try to report on all the happenings, everything from, set reviews to just industry news. Who's the politics? What's going on? You got the Panini versus Fanatics drama that just keeps piling up and up. And we cover all of that stuff, investing advice and whatnot. Cardlines was founded in 2020. And we have created a lot of content. For the longest time, we were just a website. I don't know everybody's stats. It's a team of about 7 writers, but I know me personally, I did just over 250,000 words last year on sports cards. So it's about 260 stories at about 1,000 words a piece. So we generate a lot of content in the sports card space, and it has been an awesome team to work with. So that's cool, and that's what brings us here.
And it's not.
So,
go ahead,
I was
Anthony.
going
You
to
asked.
ask, like, what do you notice the big difference between creating website content and also creating like YouTube content, social media content, or whatnot?
That's it's a lot easier to delete web copy. So anytime that you're writing something and you have a hot take, like, you can always go amend that. Not that I do, of course, but then you get on a live podcast interview and you say stuff, and then it's kind of just out there. It's in the world. So everybody can push back and share their controversial, or push back against your controversial takes. So.
Yeah, I think when I was looking at the website, I think it's and for everybody watching, it's information across the board. Like, it's not necessarily like it's not just about it's about the sport, the industry, but it's about grading. It's about new product. It's about what's hot, what where to look, what to look for, what not to look for, where to go to invest, where's a good place to to spend your money versus where to maybe. So it's not like it's not just like stories. Hey, Panini and Topps are at it again, or Panini and Fan. There's deep stuff in there, and it's broken down. And I think it's it's cool the way you have, like I said, you talk about the releases. You talk about the industry as a whole. It's almost like a one-stop shop to get information on all the stuff across the complete, industry and everything. So, but we got John. Thanks for coming in, brother. Dom is all these are all our loyal people, man. Adrian, awesome. A League of Our Own. Lockin, how you doing? So, yeah. So that was one thing that I thought, was cool. Like, I even saw the article on Travis Kelce. and what's going on with his cards and everything.
Oh, we appreciate that. It's kind of like a football team. Like the Cardlines team reminds me of a football team in that we all have roles, very defined roles of we know what we do. I do a lot of the eBay tips and I do a lot of NBA and NFL stuff. But if it's like, oh, we have breaking news, or oh, Topps actually made 15 one-of-one superfractors of each player or whatever, we have people that say, oh, we're on that. Like we have like our news coverage, the news anchors that I kind of think of them as. And then some people just do the more like 10,000 foot view of certain sports and whatnot. So we really do have a lot of different people filling a lot of different roles. And then the leadership team is amazing at pulling the strings and overseeing everything.
So how did Card start?
Cardlines?
Yeah.
So I wish my intro story was a lot sexier than this. I'm a content writer, and I was just back in the day. I freelanced quite a bit, and I've collected cards my whole life, and I was on the website Upwork, just a freelancing website. And I saw a post from a group that was like, hey, we're looking for sports card writers. I was like, oh, shoot, that's super niche. Like, I know a lot about sports cards. I'm down. So I applied for that job. And we hit it off. I think I was one of the very first writers. And since then, I've kind of stepped beyond writing into getting into the content creation side of things. I'm still doing an article or two every week. Like you said, we did Travis Kelce. I just did that one a few days ago, and we did a set review today for National Treasures that I wrote. But more than anything, we're publishing a short form video every day. And on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're publishing some kind of long form video, whether it's an investment advice piece or even some of them have just been kind of locational challenges, but those have been fun too. So I'm really focusing on that kind of content creation.
Very cool.
That's really cool. What got you into the writing? You said that you were a writer by trade before the Cardlines business?
I did content marketing, like digital marketing. I'm a self-published novelist, and my first book came out when I was a junior in high school. So I've kind of grown up promoting my own writing and learning. When you do that, like when you self-publish a book, you have no choice but to, if somebody's going to read it, you have to promote it. You have to relentlessly sell yourself. So I learned throughout undergrad and grad school, I studied a lot of digital marketing. So I learned how to, do email marketing and digital ads and just organic Facebook and that sort of just nerdy digital ad stuff. And once I graduated, I started a small company called Content Ninja, and I had 4 or 5 different content marketers that we worked with. And then I met Cardlines, and I'm no longer doing the digital marketing stuff as much, but I still work with Cardlines because I love sports cards. Like I would just continue doing it. It's the only client from back then that I'm still with, but now I'm just part of the team and don't intend to go anywhere.
Oh, very cool. So reading and stuff and reading, and when I started like looking at everything, I reached out to you, got back to me and everything. And I noticed something in your signature, youngest Forbes councilman and fractional CMO of Inc. 500's fastest growing e-com company.
Correct. That is unrelated to Cardlines, but I had to just get it in there, right? So
yeah, no. And so is it something Ninja?
Yeah, well, so Content Ninja was that was the digital marketing company that I started. And one of the clients I met was this e-commerce baseball company. They sold a lot of baseball gear to the internet, just a reseller of Rawlings, Easton, Wilson, those big baseball companies. So I started working with them, and at the time we were a team of 6 or 7. And I was starting with like kind of small task, and then they extended my leash and eventually named me like fractional CMO. So I was doing 30 to 40 hours a week with them, and then we ended up being the fastest growing e-commerce company of 2022 on the Inc. 500. Forbes invited me to join their business council, so I just occasionally write articles for them, focusing on NIL and how athletes have been able to brand themselves and monetize their personal platform. So it's kind of this crossroads of my digital marketing interest and my love of sports and just storytelling. So yeah, that's cool.
So basically, sports has been an important part of your whole working career in a way. Sports Absolutely. Cars, collecting all that kind of stuff and everything.
For sure.
What got you into collecting?
I have always collected since I was 6 or 7. I remember my mom would buy, I'm trying to think, like 2005 was the first blaster box that I remember. And she would buy a blaster box of basketball cards. And if I like did my chores or if I like, nailed the test or something, I was in like second grade or something. If I got 100 on a spelling bee or spelling test or whatever, she would give me a pack of cards. And I've since then stopped. And I hear a lot of people within the industry that are like, oh man, I used to collect and then I got out of it, but then big money came into cards in 2020 and I got back in. And I've just consistently stayed in cards. I've never really not been in cards. But I also, if I was fortunate enough that I was still I was in college when the 2020 stuff hit and sports cards got popular again. So I didn't have to really adult and devote a large portion of my life to like being serious and mature. So I've always been able to just kind of maintain card collecting as a hobby.
Very cool. Any particular sport is your number one?
Basketball and football. Basketball is number one. I've grown up playing basketball. I still play in like washed up men's league on Mondays and Thursdays. We get real cutthroat as these former college athletes, and we just really think like, oh yeah, we're hot stuff. So yeah, we go and cry for fouls like Luka, and it's just really it's pretty cutthroat.
Because hey, look, there may be a scout walking by in this.
Yeah, no, there's no chance. Like, I mean, there's decent odds. I'm assuming that like I get a 10-day contract by the end of next NBA season, just with somebody. I'm sure there'll be some Grizzly scout or something. They'll be like, listen, we need a 4. We're hurting. So
there you go.
Came to Tulsa Men's League.
Very cool. Very cool. So you get what Carlin you start doing, and do you have a particular set that you like?
A particular set that I like?
Yeah, like if you're a basketball, so you're a mosaic guy, you're a prism guy. I mean, obviously right now. And then what do you think about what's going on in those two areas with when it's gonna, eventually get back to Fanatics?
Yeah, it's interesting. And right now I actually made a video a couple weeks ago about how I just think I feel like the Bowman Chrome, the Topps Chrome set is just about to start taking over. And we have that weird period between, 2012 to 2015 when Panini and Topps Chrome were making licensed cards. So I'm really wondering, and my gut tells me Topps Chrome is going to be the cards to collect, but like Travis Kelce, for a good example, is somebody who has both a Prism rookie card and a Topps Chrome rookie card. And those two always kind of fill, the same niche, but they're just rival companies. So my gut tells me Topps Chrome is going to be the big set moving forward. That's probably my favorite set. You can poke holes in, the execution of both Panini and Fanatics or Panini and Topps at that level. To some extent, QC is not always amazing. There's a lot of quality control issues across the board. But I think Topps Chrome has consistently been a better set. I love opening a box of 2021 Prism cards, and half the ones come out a PSA 8 brand new, because insanely off-centered and dinged up or whatever. Like, it's kind of crazy just how much, QC stuff that Panini seems to have constantly.
Yeah, and and funny, we always talked about, and we've had people say, on the show and stuff, it's that, does it really make a difference who's printing them if the QC is not there?
Uh-huh.
I mean, does it really make a difference whose name is on, who does it make a difference if it's Topps or if it's Panini? If the QC is crap, who cares? It doesn't really it doesn't really matter at that point in time, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't mean anything and stuff, so it's.
Yeah. My gut tells me that Prism cards from like I imagine Panini and maybe Optic cards will age reasonably well during the years where they're the only ones with the license, but only because they're the only ones with the license. If it wasn't for that, I don't know that Panini would hold a significant long-term spot in sports card history,
Yeah. So, I mean, so from when Panini got the license to when it's going to end, and who knows how this is gonna go. So obviously, probably, most of those rookie cards are going to be, important. What do you think? What are your thoughts from an investment standpoint, or from what what you're seeing as you're doing your research on your articles? What about some of these things where players are signing exclusives, and with like Bryce Young, Stroud, they sign exclusive with Fanatics, but right now Panini's the only one who can produce a card for them. What do
Yeah,
you think? What do you think that does from that standpoint?
I think I think Wembanyama's only licensed rookie autographs are probably going to be the Bowman Chrome U cards and like that Bowman Chrome set, from what we can tell, just because they'll be licensed with his like Mets '92 uniform and stuff. And I think those cards are going to age particularly well. I still think, when you're buying, I'm trying to think what, I think it's Mosaic that only has like Anthony Richardson cards, and
Right.
first, a lot of breakers are getting blindsided. Luminance, Mosaic, or not breakers, but people buying into breaks. When you pay top dollar for the Panthers, and then it's like, oh wait, there's not Bryce Young autographs in here. That's pretty wild to me, and it's just a lot of disruption in the hobby. But to flip the script, if I was in those college guys' shoes, and it's a way for Fanatics to just undercut Panini very easily if they just can write a big check for the big prize rookies of every set. Like, why wouldn't they? So I get where the college guys are coming from, but I do think that it's gonna lead to some Bowman first and some actual licensed cards, even if they're college licensed autographs, to be worth more than you would think moving forward, of those Bryce Youngs, of those guys that are the exclusive signees with Fanatics. Because I don't know, obviously with the Prism cards, the non-autographs are oftentimes just as desirable. People chase the short prints and the colors just like they chase the autographs. I know quite a few collectors that prefer those. I don't know that I necessarily do, because I like the personal connection. Even if it's a sticker, at least it's like, well, the athlete signed this. This is cool. But I do know some that just treat it like, oh, this one's numbered to 49, and it's rare art, even if there's no direct connection to the athlete. So I'm sure there will still be some nice cards coming out, like a numbered to 99 Prism Bryce Young rookie is going to be nice coming out of a product, even if it's unsigned. But it's interesting to see where it goes for sure. And I think Bowman, all those licensed Bowman cards are probably going to take a front seat sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think, smart of what they did with Bowman. It's a great way to, like you said, it was really a great way for Topps Fanatics to kind of get their brand a little more, let's say, I don't want to say popular, but a little more in demand. Not that Bowman is not in demand. There are people who are Bowman guys, man, and that's it. I know they look forward to Bowman. They look forward to Bowman Chrome. They look forward to all that kind of stuff. So I get that. But now it's that added incentive of, now you grab a segment of people who looked at Bowman and went, yeah, but it's not really their yeah, it's the rookie card. Even though it said Bowman, it had the rookie logo on it, like for baseball and stuff, right? People would go, yeah, but that's not really their rookie card, because Series 1 came out, or Chrome came out, and that's where their rookie card was. But I think them having the exclusivity of Webb, of Young, of Stroud, and whoever else, all of a sudden that elevates, like you said, those other products from that standpoint. But for everybody, like they're, not just the guy who wants to see Bryce Young in a, in an album uniform, who just want to have a Bryce Young, first card, or that's what their choice is.
Exactly. And it's a brilliant move by Fanatics, just because, just from the X's and O's of a business standpoint, they're extending the lifetime value of the athlete. A lot of these college guys that they can get and sell autographs of now will most likely draft, and they'll fizzle out. These guys, these NFL draft picks over the next couple of years that are being featured in these Bowman U products, 10% of them are going to actually make it to the point that their cards are going to be big chase cards at the next level. But Fanatics can extend that collection window and monetize athletes right now that probably won't be worth as much in the future. But since they're taking over all the NFL and NBA cards, I really think those first Bowman cards that they are monetizing right now, of the athletes that hit, of the CJ Stroud and of the Anthony Richardson's, I think 2022 Bowman U, all those first Bowman cards of these guys that are going to be the future of the NFL and NBA, I think those cards are going to be worth a lot. We see how first Bowman is there for a lot of top, MLB guys, and it's different obviously because their first Bowman cards, they're in their MLB uniform, they're in their professional uniform, but still, if Fanatics has the incentive to extend that athlete lifetime value to their brand, I don't know why they wouldn't, and I don't know why they'd really just push that on the community to the point that some people are going to buy in. Like, they can say stuff and inundate us with enough, I don't know, first Bowman propaganda even, that enough collectors will buy in that it will drive the value up. I truly think I've been buying a lot of CJ Stroud Bowman first cards lately. It's been a big thing I'm picking up. Before, I think we can be early adapters still at this point and just buy a lot of these first Bowmans. And then 5-10 years from now, if Fanatics has the license and Topps Chrome is the choice rookie card, I think these first Bowmans of Strouds could be worth quite a bit, even if he's in his Ohio State uniform.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on what Topps and Bowman are doing? Negative numbers,
Yeah, I missed the vast majority of that.
Yeah, Anthony, the background, the announcement got you.
Sorry about that.
I think they're just sitting around waiting for you to talk, and they're throwing it on.
They're going, hey, wait a minute, that guy's getting ready to touch the mute button on it. He's on the mute button.
They're like, call him to gate B36 real fast, go.
So I was asking what your opinion is on the frozen fractors, like the negative numbers, whether it's like -5 or going beyond one of them.
Oh, like the frozen fractors?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. The frozen fracture, I don't know. I thought it was kind of dumb, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
if Topps just said, hey, come sit in on our board meeting, my approach to improving the company would not have been, hey, let's take our refractors and make them negative. Like, it seems, I thought they did some good stuff. I thought they came in and they said, like, immediately, like, hey, we're cutting 15 sets. I don't remember the exact number, but they cut a lot of the baseball sets and said, we'll focus on quantity and not quality of sets. So axing those, even if the print runs soared on the ones that they kept, at least there's not like 48 MLB releases year to year. And then we see Stadium Club get delayed to January, so they haven't been able to keep up with the ones they kept. But I think they made some good moves, but then some of them, the frozen fracture, I ain't even going to lie. When I read that first tweet about the frozen fracture, I was like, am I on a hidden camera show? Like, is somebody going to jump out and be like, you've been punked? Like, I was looking around the room kind of suspiciously because it seemed like that bad of an idea. But I don't know. They kind of pitch it as like, oh, it's self-aware, and we're aware of how many refractors there are, so we made negative ones. Like, it kind of seemed like the original sales pitch, but I don't know. It's kind of wild. It's crazy that they're collecting money. I mean, we have a Topps times Bob Ross set coming out, and I love Bob Ross and I love baseball cards. But never in my life have I wanted a card that's like, here's Mike Trout overlaid on some trees. Like, oh, good. Like, Tatis Jr. running down the beach, just what I was after, So if they create it, there's going to be some niche markets that want it and that buy it. I mean, those Bob Ross ones sold out so fast at the $200 asking price.
I can't believe that.
I wouldn't go near that with a 20-foot pole, like, honestly. And I like Bob Ross. It's nothing against the art. It's just a weird combo, Like, man.
It's not even that. I just can't believe it went for that kind of money. Which the J Rod Dom also says that J Rod set.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 370 and higher now on eBay for Bob Ross.
It's crazy. It is.
Holy cow.
It's crazy. The Cardlines team sent that over to me for a video, and it was another one of those where it's like, is this a real thing? And I tried to lock in and do it with a straight face and be like, wow, this is really great. You had 16 packs and 2 autographs, and I could not do it. I could not seriously deliver it and talk about like this one's Mike Trout, and if you look real close in that string, you might actually see some trout. Like, what are we doing here? This is just it's such a weird combo to me that it was hard to wrap my mind around.
See, and that's where someone like myself, who it's not one of the greats at fire. I've always liked fire, and I've and so to see them get rid of fire, but bring on Bob Ross.
Yeah, that's got to be frustrating.
It's like, come on, man. Seriously? You got to be kidding me. What are you
didn't
doing?
they do fire football in like 2014, 2013?
They did. There is some fire football out there that you could go ahead and get. I think it was the year just before they lost the license. I think it was.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I think I have a Derek Carr rookie autograph in fire, and he's 2014. So I thought they made some fire football cards. Those are sharp cards. They had I don't know, Topps. I think to me it makes better looking cards just across the board. They've had some sets that I like a lot more. Panini comes up, like the boardrooms where they come up with the Panini set themes. They're like, what do you think about black? And we make it all black. And it's like, oh, good. Like, wow, they got some originality here. And then they make like noir, and they're like, how about we make black, but we lean into like a gangster film theme? And like, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. It's like you have flawless and you have immaculate. And you're like, how different are they?
Yeah, for real. You get one in a briefcase and you're good to go. So you can like carry your laptop around after you open the card.
Yeah.
But either way.
Getting rid of Gypsy Queen, and then they add a lot of these chrome sets. I think Gypsy Queen was another one. Nice set. Stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I think it's I think the thing that I understand you said is they getting rid of sets and they're adding all this stuff is that I don't know. When you look from a retail perspective, right? And I just wonder from that standpoint what they are going to do to try and make it more valuable to where people want to buy it. Because the truth is if you're getting to a point where most of your hits and all the stuff you're going to have to spend on these hobby boxes, which are getting ridiculous in the prices that they are. Panini, what Mosaic is say $600, $500. I mean, it's like for a hobby box, and just to me, I wonder about the retail side of what Fanatics is going to do as we go forward, because it seems as though it's harder and harder to get anything out of a retail box. And the truth of the matter is if you want little Johnny and little Sue to be into cards, or that second grader like yourself, that's not going to matter that much to them at that age. But if that's your hook, and you get them involved, you got to throw a bone every now and again to keep them excited about what the possibilities are as they get older and start to understand what the market is.
Yeah, people start just fleeing the industry if just you have no chance of recouping your $30. Like, I just made a video a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, where I went to Walmart and bought $100 of cards. And I opened them and listed the best cards on eBay. And I felt like I did pretty good with those retail boxes. And it sold for $42. And I was like, nice. Like, I feel like I got lucky. And I recouped 40% of my, and it's just, it's tough. It really is. And I mean, I wasn't alive when, or I guess I was just young when we had our first junk wax era. But we're on the cusp of another one. There's just some fail safes put in place. Like I'm only, for long-term investing, I'm only buying numbered cards and autographed cards. Because when there's 10,000 PSA 10 Zion Prism rookies, even if it's a Prism rookie, there's so many of them that any kind of basic, intro to economic theory, supply and demand, just makes me think at some point these are never going to hold value. 10 years from now, looking back,
right?
If there's so many of them, one that every collector can have 2 or 3, and it's not a big chunk of the population. That's scary to me. So I really just try to buy short print stuff just because it'll age, I think, so much better. Particularly, like you can see the print run, even though Panini doesn't disclose, the print run just soars from 2019 to 20 to 21, and every year there's just more and more. Just when you look at the population, the grading populations of these cards, there's so many people trying to get into it. Like 2020 will have more than 2019, and 21 has a lot more graded PSA 10 rookies of the Chase rookies than PSA or than 2020, and it's just crazy how many cards they're pumping.
Go ahead. Yeah, I mean, you're right, John. I mean, it doesn't, I mean, why won't it go up to $35, a box, next year and stuff? And, and it's, again, point to where, you get someone, I mean, you think about it from a standpoint of dollars to donuts, right? If your mom would have gone to the store and said, you know what, I think sports cards would be a cool, reward for Jesse as he's doing his stuff. And she looked and she sees a box that's $35. She's like going, yeah, I don't, maybe Jesse might like
just to get some Lincoln Logs or something. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what? Maybe there's something else that Jesse can go ahead and get into and stuff. So that's my fear. The whole thing that Fanatics said, hey, we want cards to be available for everybody and anywhere and so on and so forth and stuff. To your point, to me, it makes me think more, of like for Junk Wax Era now. I was part of the Junk Wax era. I started collecting in 1976.
That's awesome.
So I went through, that 80s time where, no matter where it was like nothing was ever out of stock. No matter where you went, there was Donruss, there was Topps, there was Fleer, there was Lee. I mean, it was just everywhere,
Yeah.
And I, and I just, like I said, I can just see that's my fear is it's going to. Now, what does it do for the overall hobby? I've always said it this way, we call it a hobby, but in reality, it's broken up. It's broken up into the hobby is for the collectors. I don't, the people that are like looking and, I'm going to buy this card, and stuff. And I'm going to, the people that are spending, 40, 50, 60 grand on a card. I don't know how many of them are a collector or versus in 4 or 5 years, that $50,000 card is going to be a $70,000 card. And I'm going to sell it. Like, I wonder where in the price range, the majority of people move from collector to investor. What do you think? I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think if you're buying $40,000 or $50,000 cards, most of those people did not get that kind of money in sports cards. Like you have a software background, or you are a CEO of a small company or something. There's a lot of those people that came into the hobby, and I know pandemic talk kills conversions, but shoot, I feel like during the pandemic, live sports stopped. All these gamblers that had thousands of dollars they throw at live sports just started throwing it at the hobby, and then so much money came into the hobby that stuff really started taking off. I mean, that's what I always point to is the main reason the sports cards really exploded during 2020. It's just all the gamblers bringing their money into sports cards because there's so many parallels between opening a box of sports cards and betting on the Yankees -1.5. So I think to kind of circle back to your question there, that it'll be interesting to see the high-end cards seems to keep holding value. We're setting records year after year of peak sales, but these are on the $1+ million cards. For most of us, I mean, maybe you have a $1 million collection. I sure don't. But for most of us, I'm buying stuff that I think is hopefully going to be time proof. Like I said, stuff that's numbered, something that's in limited print, something where I know exactly how many other copies are. And I'm hoping that it makes some safe returns over the years. But I do think that there are a lot of people that kind of got misled or roped into card collecting and probably spent way too much money on it during that pandemic boom. when 2020, 2021, all the sports cards really started soaring. I was like Gary Vee brought a lot of people into sports card collecting during 2020. And it was a lot of people that were like, oh man, I collected when I was young and now I'm getting back into it. And it's like, man, the industry has changed so much since like in the 10 years, 15 years that a lot of them, even people I know, were out of the industry, that there was a learning curve, and the kind of money they were throwing at cards was too much to not have like safety wheels, or to not have some time to kind of readjust to the landscape of the hobby in 2020 with so many brands out there. So we'll see where the future of it goes. I think there are some cards, like the high-end stuff, will continue to age well. I like buying graded veteran autographs. I like buying vintage stuff, graded vintage stuff. Dick Butkus stuff went from about, like the PSA 4 Philadelphia Dick Butkus rookie went from about 240 to 370 just since he's passed. Right. And it's held at, 320 to 330. And just every year those cards get older and more special and more valuable inherently, just because there's that finite supply of graded cards. And man, that's so much nicer compared to this 2023 Topps Chrome set, for example, when there's just thousands and thousands of the same rookie cards out there.
Yeah, well, I think like what Dusty said, about here, he said, it's great having the mid to super high end, all that kind of stuff. He said, but it's true. That would be nice if you had that lower end stuff where you at least have the opportunity to go and get some. Now, maybe you get the one of ones. Maybe you can't get the 5, the 10s, right? But maybe, throw the 25, the 49s, the 99s in there, and so on and so forth. But he's right also in that, some of these sets now, Topps Chrome Platinum, over 500 base cards.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, and that was a very good set. But man, there's so many base cards.
Yeah,
and it's, I mean, the majority of those guys are unfortunately probably going to be firewood cards, like in the next 5 to 10 years. There will be the numbered stuff will be nice, and some of the rookies I'm sure will be all right value. They'll hold some value, especially if they're graded well. But when there's that many of them, it's tough. It's scary to see.
It's going to be interesting when you look at stuff, and you take, take like J-Rod, for instance, right? So you got 2022, his rookie year, and you look at all the cards he has that has the little rookie shield on, and to your point, if you're gonna collect that now in our little bunch of people that, what we call the card community and everything, we have one guy who is a J-Rod collector. It doesn't make a difference what it is. If that's J-Rod and has his rookie logo on it, he's going to want it. Yeah. And, so he's a super collector, stuff like that. But you just wonder from a standpoint of is, if you're looking at a long-term, with saying, hey, I can hold some of these now, I can probably gain some dollars later. Your truth is you really got to stick to the numbered stuff, because there's going to be so many, base ones out there. Yeah, it's his rookie card, but okay, there's 5,000 of them.
For sure.
It's to your point, it's not special.
Yeah, that scarcity is going to, I think, keep the value buoyant in moving forward in the future. For like, in 2020, 2021, those are the sets that just, it seemed like when they were just like, all right, max capacity plus 50% at the printing headquarters. Like they just really went for it. So I'm thinking like, my hot take here is that with the 2020 cards, 2021, for example, I'd rather have one Trevor Lawrence numbered optic card in a PSA 10 than 10 of the base cards in PSA 10. I just think they'll hold value better over time. There's just so many of those cards out there.
Here's something that Larkin says from a fanatic standpoint. Do you think, do you think you get NFL and NBA? Do you think we'll see another cutback in baseball?
It would be nice, just because, I mean, obviously they're going to have income coming in from the other major sports, and they've already started dabbling, trying to monetize all those other sports. I think at the end of the day, they're a company, so unless they see, like, they don't necessarily, at least in the short term, it's beneficial to them to print as much as people will buy. So if I was working for Topps or Fanatics, I wouldn't necessarily say let's cut back sets without seeing a need to, if people are still buying them. If all these cards start going unpurchased and continue setting at Walmart and then get discounted over and over, like we're finally seeing some of the select plaster boxes going down to $20 from like 30 or 35, depending on where you're at. And if that becomes a thing, then they'll see the demand is just not there and hopefully scale back. I would love if they scale back. Obviously, if they could say, hey, we're going to do 15 sets of baseball, basketball, and football, that'd be great news. I think it'd be a win for all collectors. Just to simplify it some, it's crazy when you have 35 sets of each sport. And I hope that that's the case. But they'll have to see a decrease in demand for them to actually pull the trigger and stop producing it. If I was the president of Topps, I'd be like, print it if they keep buying it, you know, like, put it in my pocket, like it might as well, you know. I get where they're coming from, at least, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Hey, if the printer isn't going to shut down the factory, let's go. You know, because you're right. You know, especially on some of the higher end stuff, especially, you know, on for lack of better words, you know, if they're doing the chrome stuff. Now, the QC still has to be there, you know, but to your point, you know, the chrome, print some more of that rather than, you know, the regular, you know, flagship, you know, series 1, you know, paper, because at the end of the day, you know, 98% of those really aren't going to have any value.
No,
you know, you're going to have your numbered stuff. Yeah, you're going to have your autographs that people are still going to, going to want, right? Hey, you know, and it might, there'll probably be a little more of demand of the autographs and the number stuff in that realm, because normally that probably would be the lower of the end that, or desirable standpoint. You know what I'm saying? If you could have a numbered autographed, you know, player A in paper or in chrome, more people are going to want the chrome card than they are the, you know, the paper card.
For sure. And you know this a lot better than I do, I think, because I'm not a huge baseball guy, but I've seen so much demand lately for those prospect cards. And it seems like even the flagship top stuff, like, everybody's chasing Gunnar Henderson Topps Chrome rookies. But a lot of people are like, oh, I'd rather have the, you know, 2020 Bowman Prospects Chrome rookie of him, because that's his first Bowman card. Like, I've seen so much demand for that kind of stuff. Those cards are just very valuable. So I still think, obviously, the top Series 1 stuff will hold value, but those rookie cards get less and less special when the prospect stuff is getting more and more emphasized over time. So that's just one of the potential. You know.
Well, it's absolutely ridiculous when you look at, you know, Drew Jones, Andrew, you know, and the bounty that was put on his, you know, 1-of-1 refractor and everything, you know, and stuff like that. And then, you know, I mean, hell, the Babe Ruth 1-of-1 out of this last Bowman U product, you know, a $250,000, you know, bounty by David Adams. You know, I mean, it's just, you know, and you know, to me, you know, you wonder, okay, I understand why David Adams, you know, would want it and everything, but that's like a great, I mean, that's free advertising in a way for Topps of, damn, we got to get some of that, man, because if we get lucky and we buy that, you know, whatever, however much that box is, and we pull that card, let's go, you know, man, we're gonna make out and stuff. So, you know, it makes, you know, you wonder how much it makes, you know, for, you know, people to go out and buy more.
No, for sure. It adds even more hype and chase element to the hyped chase card, which is fun. But then it also becomes even more of a set killer when, like, some of those cards get hit. Like, when I know, like, that Magic, the ring card that Post Malone ended up buying for a couple $1 million, where there was $1 million bounty on it. Like, it felt like as soon as that got hit, and I don't really buy those cards, but I think as soon as that card got pulled, it seemed like those boxes dropped 40%. Like, just immediately. The demand's gone, that chase is gone, the fun bounty's gone.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And it's another thing, just circling back to, we're talking about Topps improving the sets, and I'm interested to hear chat's thoughts on this too. But it seems like already since they've taken over, they're moving quicker than they can keep up with. There's been quite a few issues in both quality control, but also just like some, basic, like the superfractor thing that's been going on. That seems like pretty basic. Dot your I's, cross your T's, and don't have more than one of one card per prospect. And it seems like they've really stumbled on some just basic business execution stuff in the early days. And they're an e-com giant. They're not a sports car giant yet. So I know Fanatics leadership team's kind of learning and adjusting on the fly, but there's seems to be a lot of fumbling early days of the Fanatics Topps merger. And we're having a lot of baseball delays. Like Stadium Club's a mid-season product usually. And now it's like, oh, wait till the World Series are wrapped up and then we'll be dropping it in January 15th.
Yeah, we'll drop it in 2024 again.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, hey, this past summer we got Topps Chrome Platinum 2022.
22. Yeah, it was a good set, but it was super late.
And the funny thing is what helped it really go was it was like the last set where you could get a J-Rod rookie,
Bobby Witt
rookie. You can get that rookie class. So all of a sudden, oh my gosh, we got to go out and get it. We got to go out and get it. But to your point back about the refractors and the one-on-ones, conspiracy theories. Our people are saying it was it wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
That it was done. And then we started talking.
Just $700,000 intentional mistake though too. Like their bounty's pretty lucrative there. Like it's a lot.
Well, it is, and I'm wondering, does that set the market for the other one of one?
It has to some extent. Just basic human psychology. We do like anchoring, so that if we have a card, like if David Adams is paying $1 million bounty for this card, this rookie might be worth 70% of that. So surely it's a $700,000 card, right? Like we have a price at least that we can compare this, we can anchor this high-end card to. In some ways, it's like just this really amplified version of like a Beckett price guide. Like when somebody's throwing out a number, it gives everybody at least a target. It's very easy to be all over the scope with a high-end one-of-one card. Some people might appraise it for $250,000. Some might say $3 million. There's some of those cards it's just really hard to put a price on, so you just throw it in an auction and let it see. But when people are putting a bounty out there, it at least gives it some kind of anchor point that you can use it to compare stuff to.
Yeah, I tell you, I just wonder. Like some of those ones, it's like $3,000, and I was looking at the list, and they're like, "Oh, the buyback is $3,000." I'm going, who the hell is that player anyway? I'm like, hold on, let me type their name in Google and see what they're like hitting 185 in AAA.
And they're like 13 or something.
That card ain't worth $3,000. Ain't nobody in their right mind's gonna pay $3,000 for that card if it was legitimately, out there for sale. You're out of your mind.
Yeah. So you would think it would pull up the twin, like whichever one doesn't get redeemed. It's like, oh, well, this was a $3,000 bounty at Topps Chrome when the other one got redeemed. So, or there's just this crazy expedited race to be the first guy to pull it because John Smith is not actually worth the $5,500 that they offered for this particular bounty. So there's this big rush. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you open any of those and you're getting those ones that they're offering between like $3,000 and $7,500 or $10,000 for, hell, number one, I guess you could be a super fan of that player, but if you ain't, here you go.
I'm going to Topps.com immediately. I don't care if I'm literally related to the guy. I'm going to Topps.com immediately and saying, listen, I'm cashing this sucker in. Yeah, I think they man, I missed that comment. So you're gonna.
I'm gonna say I thought Anthony was jumping in.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you think the bounties are healthy for the hobby, or do you think it's something that sets an unrealistic price point?
It sets an unrealistic price point, but I think it's healthy in that it at least generated a lot of hype. And it's kind of like sometimes any press is good press just when people are talking about cards. It did bring a lot of people into cards. I knew a couple of my buddies that are in the baseball space that aren't really baseball fans, but they're hitting me up and they're like, hey, did you see that Topps is paying $1 bazillion for Bowman Chrome, these one of ones? How do I get a box? And when I have people that don't collect asking how to acquire a box, if it was a legitimate accident, I think it was at least a good recovery to it, because one, Fanatics is saying, hey, we're on your side. Somebody really goofed, but we're putting $1 million into like making this right. And two, it's just generating good press. But there are definitely some downsides to it as well, in that like it's definitely overvaluing some of these low end no name cards. It's like they didn't want to make anybody the last pick in gym class, so they're like, well, we'll throw $3,000 at everybody. That's just, I mean, Fanatics has vast sums of money, so I'm sure $700,000 is just a blip on the radar for them. But it's still a lot to put into the card community. They've done a lot of cool stuff. eBay's done a lot of cool stuff with the card community. It's just been cool since sports cards took off to see all the different proactive things for the card community that companies are doing. Obviously, it's for the company as well, but when eBay's doing the vault and the standard envelope and stuff, and they're introducing stuff that's clearly pro seller, it's been cool to see so much love coming to the hobby.
So as Dusty has something here I want to say as you have done. This is the question that I took off when I thought Anthony was saying something. So as you go, when you're looking at your investment, you're looking at, where to go and everything, do you look at the desirable, how much does the rookie class, if make you go into dive into a product? Does it have, are you just then, are you just turning and looking at, say, hey, you know what? The entire rookie class is not that good, but these two guys are. So I'm not trying to try and pull them. I'm just going to go on eBay and buy them all up, or is there a point where you either try and pick them one on one, or try and buy box and maybe pull them yourself?
That's a good question, and I am big on buying boxes. I really do like buying boxes because, I mean, for me, it's like kind of buying an index fund, basically. When you buy, I could buy, Justin Jefferson rookies or Tua rookies and say, wow, this guy is the man. And I did buy some Tua rookies before this year started and feel good about it because it's obviously he's gone up in value. He looks like an MVP contender right now. So that's really nice. But Tua could get hurt this Sunday and then his values tank. When you buy a sealed hobby box of 2020 Prism or Donruss or Optic or take your pick, Contenders, any of those boxes, you're investing in all the rookies of that class. You have Hurts, you have Burrow, you have Herbert, you have Tua, you have Jefferson, you have all those guys. So I really, really study rookie class. And it's funny because, I mean, one good rookie is all it takes to redeem a class. Optic 2022 boxes are selling for way too much right now because of Brock Purdy. That's not a good rookie class. It really isn't. And he's definitely single-handedly pulled up the value of those boxes. So I've stayed away from 2022. But when there's a set that I'm like, man, these rookies, like CJ Stroud, I can't get enough of his film right now. He looks amazing. He looks like he's been in the league for 5 years and is single-handedly their best offensive player, and he is making everybody on the team better. And rookie quarterbacks do not do that usually. Like if they look adequate, it's great. And he legitimately just looks so amazing. So when 23 product that I like comes out, I'm not big on the early season stuff usually, but I'll be buying some of that stuff to sit on because I think, 5-10 years from now, he could be a top 3 quarterback in the league. But I do love buying into boxes. And then like bad sets, 2013, 2015, the NFL, 2013, 2015, those sets, I try to avoid those completely when it comes to long-term investing. And I have some sealed boxes, like Topps Chrome 2020 baseball was not a good rookie set. And I have some of those boxes and they just have not aged well. So occasionally you take your lumps and you're like, oh, this guy, I think he's going to be pretty good. And it doesn't shake out. But yeah, to answer your question, I 100%. If you get a good rookie class and can jump on it, just investing in the sealed wax, that's always such a smart thing to do, for sure. It's a lot safer.
Yeah, I mean, you're right from that standpoint, and that's what that was always surprised me about. I mean, at least the change in baseball that I've seen is, like you said, the Bowman cards all of a sudden, jumping up and being worth, crazy dollars, versus, established players. I mean, and I'm not, it's like I said, you look at, whoever it may be, a player, but a player who's been in the league, establishing. You go back to his rookie, and I'm talking not like a Shohei or something, like not like the freaks like that, right? But like I said, when you look and all of a sudden you see some of these cards like Jackson Holiday and that whatever $200,000 autograph card stuff, and it's like, okay, he's at least progressing and showing it, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, you can see a future where he's like a top 5 guy in the league.
Right, but you could see a future, but a lot of things still have to go right.
For sure, it's very presumptive.
Yeah, to me, that's why I would say, like to me, I always personally looked at sports cards. If you were looking at investment purpose, for me, they were short term. If it's strictly an investment, because the market is so volatile, like you said, Tua right now, it's like each week Tua gets by next week and he has another big game and his cards go up a little bit. If you're not a Tua collector, it's kind of hard, right? You have when you call it, it's like you have the golden handcuffs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I like it.
Do I sell? Because you're, like you said, he is one hit away from possibly having to retire. And then what is his cards worth? So it's a very, it's a tough line to walk with certain guys. Right. But you can invest in Herbert, you invest in, Burrow, Lawrence, those guys, because, they don't show it. They haven't really been at that point where you're wondering an injury can go ahead and take them out. And again, an injury can easily, but when it comes to the head stuff and when it comes to what Tua has been going through, that's a lot different.
It's scary. It is.
You don't get guys. I mean, guys can come back from knees, elbows, hips. They can come back, from arms, a lot of that stuff. You don't see a lot of guys repeatedly with hits to the head. From that standpoint.
And when those guys are making those headlines, like we're talking about investing in Tua and Herbert and those guys that are doing well, it's also just tough. Like, I can go buy a Herbert card right now. We'll say, the graded 10 PSA rookie of the Prism rookie, PSA 10 Prism rookie. And so much has to go right for me to recoup money on that card. So my just general rule of thumb is that there's two things. For one, sports cards is beautiful because there's just a clear seasonal lull in, imagine if you knew if you're investing in stock and it was like, oh, every June and July Facebook stock is just at a seasonal low. And all sports cards are like that because sports have an off season. So it's so much cheaper if you buy NBA cards during NBA off season and NFL cards during NFL off season. Like, we did a study on it at the Cardlines. It's about 30% less. So it's like, oh, you can just buy them for everything's 30% off if you buy football cards in July, when nobody's playing football. So that's a beautiful thing about it. But two, my other just rule of thumb is, if people are talking about somebody, I'm not buying. Like, right now, I'm buying Kyler Murray. He is not making headlines. He is a talented quarterback. I don't think he's a good leader, but his PSA 10 Silver Prism rookie is selling for $240 right now. That card was worth $2,500 less than 18 months ago. So if you can just scoop up, I've bought 3 or 4 of those just in the past month. And if you can just grab onto some of those and buy them when people aren't talking about Kyler Murray, like I said, I don't think he's a great quarterback. If a new Call of Duty game comes out, it takes his stats tank. Like, he's not the most reliable player, but he at least has shown me enough that he's talented enough. When he's on the field, I know his cards will be worth a lot more than they are right now. So I just always try to buy when people are not talking about people. To Tyreek, those guys are making a lot of headlines right now, and a lot of people, their cards are moving up and up, but they're not going to be. I'm not going to be the ones buying them right now.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, it's not only being seasonal, but it is, know, it's also paying attention. If there's a rookie on a team and he's a rookie running back, but he was drafted, what is considered high in today's game, which is maybe, second or third round. Oh my gosh, you drafted a running back, and it's paying attention, it's listening, but it's if and all of a sudden you hear, that the starter goes down. You got to pay attention to that type of stuff, because that all of a sudden that guy from a short-term investment type thing, you might be able to, before other people know, jump on, like an eBay or something and pick up 5 or 10 of them at super cheap prices before all of a sudden people go, oh crap.
There's that rush.
He's the new starter now. You said Dick Butkus before. It's like, I'm sure there are a lot of people who, when they heard it, a lot of them might have said, "Ooh, I don't have any Dick Buckets. I always wanted one of his autographs." And maybe they ran, to eBay and try and find those ones where maybe those sellers didn't hear about it, and all of a sudden, Anthony had it happen. Anthony is a former professional wrestler.
Oh wow! I will not mess with Anthony.
And, we're both big wrestling fans. We both collect wrestling cards and everything. And it was funny when Bray Wyatt, when he, passed away suddenly or like that, I had heard it and I had texted Anthony. I'm like, oh my gosh, Bray Wyatt went ahead and passed away. And I think one of his first responses back to me was, oh, no wonder why all my Bray Wyatt cards are selling out.
Yeah.
Because people went out on the market, to buy, because it's like, hey, we're not going to have that guy anymore.
It was wild. Like, it was even my Braun Strowman's with Bray Wyatt in the card.
That stuff started. It is, and it's just like, it's the headlines. If you're making headlines, even, to be semi-morbid, but like when somebody passes away, obviously it's probably the last headline they're going to really make. But there's just that value in cards. When people are talking about said person, there's always that spike, and it's crazy how that stuff happens. And you were talking about backup quarterbacks and how, Michael, people hop on eBay and snatch up when somebody gets hurt or whatever. And I think if you're trying to make money in short-term flips, that's the move. I've bought so much Jared Stidham stuff over the last 3 weeks, and just because I think Russell Wilson looks terrible. And as soon as Stidham just gets in a game, his cards will go up 50%, even 100%. Some of them. I just bought a super nice number to 23 on card RPA for like $24 last week. And all those cards can just take off like crazy. I've been buying Stidham and I've been buying Taylor Heineke because I think Desmond Ridder, I cannot imagine being less scared on an NFL defense than if Desmond Ridder was trying to lead a last minute drive against me. But that it really is just buying those people that are kind of waiting in the wings that nobody's talking about, and then boom, they become a starter, or boom, somebody passes away. I know half the listeners probably sat at home on their keyboard typing in oldest living NFL star. But
hey, if you're depending on what you're in it for, that's what I'm saying. It's like Anthony and I, we are, we're collectors first. We are, to me, and I consider myself like, I'm a flipper, right? I will buy a bunch of stuff, and I may, or like if I buy boxes and everything, and I get a couple of hits in a blaster box, I'll throw them out on eBay and so on and so forth and everything, and try and sell them. But then it's like, I do that so I can do one of two things: buy more boxes to open, or maybe buy that, like IPC Fred Lynn from the Boston Red Sox. So maybe looking for that Fred Lynn card, that one of those autographs, that I don't have on a card, right? So
That's
to me, I don't really have any investment cards in when I look at what I have, right? I don't think I have something I'm saying, man, I'm going to hold this, until we have a month of Sundays, and then I'm going to go ahead and sell it because it's going to be worth, a crap ton of money. Like, I don't have, those kind of cards. You talked about, collection, what it's worth, and so on and so forth, and everything. And Anthony and I always say this: nothing pisses me off more than going to a show and seeing some 12-year-old kid, and it might be it might be all mommy and daddy's money. I don't care.
It was like $6 million of cards.
But his freaking Zion case is worth more than every card that I own put together.
No, I totally get that. I'm right there with you. Like, I have a job and I own a sunglasses company, and like I do sports cards as a hobby. Like, people call it the hobby, and that's how I approach it. If I can flip some stuff, that's cool. Like, I enjoyed the chase, but realistically, for all the time that I spend flipping cards on eBay, like, I think I could just, work and bill hourly and probably make more money if I wanted to, but it's not as fun. I just enjoy the chase of cards. And it's kind of like fantasy football, where it's like, oh, wow, you have a circle of 9 other people you can flex on if you win the championship, and then like nobody else in the whole wide world knows. But like, there's something about like gamifying it. Like, I can invest in Facebook stock, and I don't sit on my couch and go, "Ooh, cheer on Zuckerberg" or whatever. Like, it's not fun. But if I buy Garner Minshew cards, and then Anthony Richardson goes out for the year, and Minshew can lead the Colts to the playoffs or something, and I was an early adapter and have a lot of, if I early adopted Minshew and had a lot of Minshew cards, then I'm excited. So, Anthony's taking off, man. Safe flight, sir. That's been fun.
Yeah, Anthony.
Hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was just trying to let you know I'm taking off here momentarily, but I appreciate you coming on, Jesse.
This is so much fun. Safe flight, and I admire the devotion. My man's getting on an airplane, and like, I'm zonked out listening to a podcast at this point, and he's leading the full interview. So I appreciate it.
Safe travel, though. He was
saying,
thanks a lot, Anthony. Have a great flight, man. Get some sleep. You're gonna need it if you can.
Alrighty, God bless, gentlemen.
Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I mean, it's East Coast time, so it's 11 o'clock. He won't land back in Pittsburgh until about 10:30 in the morning.
That's a long flight. Yeah,
well, then you have 6 hours.
I mean, he's losing a lot of time, but
it's 6 hours.
I lose 2 hours going to Vegas, and I have no idea where I am. Like, shoot, man, I can't imagine. That throws me off like crazy. I get up at 3 a.m. every morning. I was just in Vegas last week for a sunglasses conference, so just trying to get back and recover. I can't imagine flying back from Hawaii.
No, I mean, that would be I don't know. I work with a guy who recently just came back from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, it took a few days to go ahead and get back to normal, because the flight alone is 10 hours or 11 hours.
Yeah. That's brutal. It's I travel quite a bit for work, and I'm fortunate to, get to see a lot of cool parts of the country, but I also live in Oklahoma, so I'm pretty central, and I just time zones, even if I go to the coast, I'm not ever off too far, so it's not,
right.
It's not nearly like a trip to Hawaii and flying back.
Man, Thunder are going to be an interesting team to watch.
I went to go see the Wembanyama and Chet game. It was both those guys are. I had 3 takeaways. I was like, these guys are huge. These guys are incredibly skilled, and these guys they have to seriously struggle finding shoes. This is ridiculous. But like, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5", and these guys, like, just seeing them in person, I was like, holy cow! Like, I can't imagine.
Oh yeah.
The coordination is super impressive, though, because they're like a foot taller than me, and I can't imagine. Just even at the D1 level, when I went to University of Tulsa, a lot of the D1 we had some 6'10" guys, 7-footers, and they were not coordinated at all. And they'd come in and play with us. And the fact that Wemby's out here hitting step back Jays with the between his legs crossover or something, I'm like, this is wild. Like, it truly is like a video game. That's what it seems like. So,
Yeah, and I think it's what's amazing about it is you know the skill not only the skill level that they developed, but actually being able to be that big, develop the skills, and then actually use them for good, right? Because there are some guys who, they like you said, get that big and they can't walk and dribble, at the same time, then there are, and then there are guys that are, get that big and they're like a, for lack of better words, like a one-trick pony. But
absolutely,
those two guys, they're a different breed of tall guy.
They are, and Wimpy's a good, and Chet will be
as big. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not 300 and something pounds, like Shaq. And I'm not saying that Shaq was a one-trick pony, even though it pretty much was.
He kind of was. I mean, he was a monster, top 10 of all time. But definitely, I get it. Like he got rebounds and he overpowered everybody. Like that was the thing. And Wemby can beat you in a lot of ways. He's just a diverse skill set. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it ages. Obviously, I'm impressed though because he has really good floor awareness, and I think he'll make everybody around him better in a way that somebody like a Shaq or a Dwight Howard or somebody who's just that physical specimen just doesn't necessarily do. He sees the floor well, and it seems like it's a progressively fleeting skill because all that AAU stuff, when you're playing ball every weekend and going to these one-on-one skill shops, it just weaponizes a player offensively. But I think there's so many people that have this like ever-increasing offensive bag of tricks, but not necessarily it's like they learn the scoring skills and then they get and kind of have to evolve that offensive system. Like Jason Tatum's one of those guys. He could score any way he wanted to, but it seemed like it took 2 or 3 years for him to figure out how to make everybody around him better. And Wembanyama really does seem like he has that skill set already, just a good awareness of the floor. I'm with
Walken's not a fan of AAU.
I don't like it either. Like I grew up playing, the high school ball and stuff, and the AAU stuff, it really is kind of just a crazy emphasis on what I would deem not the most necessary basketball skills for at least winning as a team. It'll make you an amazing individual player, I'm sure, but I would think it's hard. It can't be healthy basketball if you're shaking hands with your teammates and meeting them for the first time 30 seconds before the tip, and that's how half that stuff is. Half that travel ball, you're just playing with random tight guys all the time. So,
I think AAU is like summer baseball,
travel baseball.
I mean it a little bit, but I think AAU, in my personal opinion, and I don't know enough about it, but just from what I see and stuff like that, is to me teams together at a young age. Whereas in travel baseball and stuff like that, I don't know if you have the same type of stuff happening. Like I don't think you have, like the top player at every position, and half of them get together and say, hey, let's all go to the Cape Cod League, and play baseball this summer, right? Where I have a feeling that with AAU, I think you see that a little more, where you have, more of the top players, coming together to play with each other.
So this is actually kind of funny because I've got a good look at this travel baseball thing firsthand. What I do full time now basically is like I own a baseball sunglasses company, and my business partner is a TikTok and he's a social media influencer with about 600,000 followers, and his name's Mark Paul MP3, and he is like the comedy dad of travel baseball. His whole shtick is just making fun of the stereotypes of travel baseball. So I've spent a good portion of the last 6 months going to these insane travel ball games. And quite often his son, who's 12, is there with us. And he's never met these kids in his life and is playing a baseball tournament with them. And I mean, and they win sometimes. So that alone makes me think it's a little bit different than AAU basketball, because I think baseball, this might be just a generalization as a big basketball guy. But I think basketball, there's a little bit more chemistry. You have to, like, if you play together, you like build out a system and you just kind of know how the other guy moves and back cuts, and like you just work more in unison as a team. Baseball, you can play shortstop and your job's kind of the same every game. And I played baseball for several years, but it is crazy how it's been so plug and play. And like these teams actually look competitive, and they've never met each other before the weekend starts.
True. I mean, I've heard that before. I mean, I've seen that. So where I live, in Georgia, Marietta, Georgia, which is just northwest of Atlanta, there's a lot of travel baseball around. There is there's a lot of travel baseball tournaments that happen there. There's a perfect game, and a perfect game happens everywhere, but there, I mean, they have there's a bunch of baseball, and you have that and stuff, and it's the same type of thing. When we were there, a friend of ours, his son used to play, and the same type of thing. It was like, we got 3 guys on our team from North Carolina, 2 guys from Alabama, 1 from Tennessee, and the rest are from Georgia and everything. It's like, well, how the heck this? And he's like, we don't practice as a team. The ones in Georgia, we get together and we'll practice, because we all know each other. He said, but hey, we have a tournament this weekend. They come in and they play and stuff like that, and then the tournament's over and they
back on their way. Yeah, that's how it is with my business partner. The sunglasses thing is like they'll throw together teams. They come together and they play together and look good. So I think there's probably just a little bit more team element, team synergy in a game of basketball or football. Like it would be a football team could 100% not just fly in, shake hands before the game and go play and compete. It's just not how it works.
Right. Exactly, you're right. But baseball definitely, that's why to me, when you look at the sports, baseball is the most individualized team sport.
Team sport, yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
It really is because basketball, right? I mean, if the 4 other guys just stand in the corners and one guy brings the ball down, not much is going to happen. Football, if the lineman just stood up and didn't do a damn thing, not a lot of stuff is going to happen. But in baseball, I mean, it's, hey, man, I got the ball in the pitcher. You got the bat. It's me versus you. Then, yes, the pitcher needs the team, but then it's a ground ball that goes to the shortstop. It's just that one guy. He doesn't need anybody else on his team at that point in time. And he just throws it over to first base, and all first base has to do is catch it. So it's really, to me, it's an individualized, team sport and stuff.
It's very well put.
And I think it's one of those reasons why you could do what you said. You could have a bunch of guys and all of a sudden show up. My daughters used to play travel softball. And that's another crazy one. If you think travel baseball is crazy,
it's crazy too.
Travel softball is even more nuts.
Yeah, the moms are nuts. Like there's so much keeping up with the Joneses in travel baseball. I make an income selling gear to travel baseball parents. So
yeah, well, softball. I mean, softball, the same type of thing in that it's the same type of thing. Whereas my daughter wanted to join this one team, and it was I think like $3,000. It was first. It was $150 to try out, not earn a spot.
Try out. Shoot,
try out.
I need to start a travel ball softball team.
And they would have tryouts, have 75 to 100 girls show up, and they don't have but max 3 spots available. And so then you would go ahead and so when we were talking like, if to make the team it's going to be like $3,600. $3,600, like, holy crap. Oh, and then they go, oh, by the way, that doesn't include the travel budget. I was like, the travel budget, travel software, yeah. Where are you going? Oh, well, we'll be playing in Colorado Springs. We'll be playing in Sioux Falls. We're playing in Oklahoma City, and we were playing somewhere up in the Northeast. So I'm sitting there going, that's another friggin' $10,000.
Yeah, you cook in all the travel expenses. It is insanity. Like,
I'm like, holy crap.
I've got the way more travel baseball than I ever wanted over the last year and a half, basically working with this comedian guy, just seeing how much they spend on just getting to Jalen's tournaments. And I mean, shoot, with baseball, best case scenario, you make millions in the MLB. Like best case, but what are the odds? You throw so much money at it, and they treat it like a career. Like Mark makes his money or makes his fame, his notoriety, he grows his TikTok following by making fun of how competitive the parents are. But he's the exact same way. I'm like, man, you're treating this 12-year-old like he's like, in the World Series. So, but it's still fun. It is definitely. I mean, I love sports. They are my favorite part of American society for sure. So,
yeah, baseball is, I mean, I started playing baseball when I was 6 years old, and I still play today.
that is awesome.
I play in the old man's league.
Well,
and I'm telling, and so this past summer when I played, I play on 5+ team,
yeah.
and we had, no lie, 3 guys, 72, 71, and 70.
That's impressive. That is awesome. I pray
Still out on the field, throwing the ball, getting up there to bat, hitting and everything. Now it's hilarious. When I first got back into playing, which is about 8 years ago and stuff, I've always coached and stuff, so I've been, always around the younger kids and everything, so, you see the speed of the game and everything. And I remember when I first got back to playing, I was playing second base, a ball hit up the middle, went to the backhand, got it and everything, and I got it, boom, and I fired the ball. And as soon as I turned, I let it go. I looked.
Something or
No. I threw it and I looked. The runner was maybe like you think.
Oh.
You think of the speed, the guy's going to be busting his ass out, man, and I'm going backhand up the middle.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to make a good throw. I'm going to have to get it there quick because it's going to be a close play.
Yeah.
I looked, the guy wasn't even halfway there yet. And I'm like, oh, crap, that's right. I forgot. These guys aren't as fast. I mean, so I have a little I could go ahead and relax and set my feet, and not much, stress on your arm and stuff like that,
That is fantastic. I didn't know how that story was going to go, but that is the best thing. He's halfway to the back.
Yeah, it's it's great and everything. You give these guys credit and stuff. I mean, we play, and it's just, I mean, it's just to me, it's the greatest game ever created. It's the best place to be. Being on the baseball field, is awesome and everything. That's what got me into the hobby, was playing the game and then seeing, then all of a sudden seeing baseball cards, and it was like, oh my gosh. And, I was baseball only for, gosh, I couldn't even tell you, how many years. And then it was like, oh, all right, I'll get some football, and, then basketball, and then a little bit of hockey and stuff.
I'm just getting into baseball this year, basically. So I'm kind of like, it's fun to be like aspirational when you're younger, to be like, oh man, I want my own card someday, or like collect your favorite team or favorite player. So it just seems like you kind of gravitate toward the sports you like. Like you grew up in baseball. I grew up playing basketball and grew up chasing basketball cards. But now I'm trying to diversify some, especially since I've just done a lot of baseball in the past year or so, like trying to, figure it all out. So,
well, and plus in the position you're in with what you do, you also can go ahead and have more of an appreciation. And as you're doing the research or you're getting the stories that are coming onto the website and stuff, you can, you have a better idea of where it is, so you kind of, it helps you in the market from a, hobby / collecting, standpoint.
It is. It's cool to, have those different connections and different facets of your life just kind of overlap and say, hey, something that I learned here is really helping me here. We, like, for example, my sunglasses thing that I mentioned, like the sports baseball company, we have like Mauricio Dubon is one of our guys. He's been wearing sunglasses, and they just won tonight. So we're following that game, but we're designing a pair with him and the Astros, and Frombar's worn some of them. So it's been cool to be like, oh, we were Zooming with Mauricio last week, and now I'm pulling his card out of Topps Chrome. So I'm learning a lot more baseball than I ever really expected, but I like it. I played until I was in like 8th grade, and then I just stopped to kind of just focus on basketball. But getting back into it has been really fun. It's kind of been that, like, there's so much to learn, about about the hobby. I think I know quite a bit about Panini and stuff, but the whole anything after Topps lost the NFL license in 2015 or stopped making their NFL cards in 2015, I didn't really know a whole lot about what Topps was off to. And now just seeing it in the baseball space has been awesome.
Yeah, and it's it's interesting how the hobby has changed so much and everything. It's interesting how it has changed so much, yet how it has remained the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that from a standpoint of is you hear about with the scamming and the doing all the the pack searching and so on and so forth. And I'm sitting there going, God, let me tell you something. When I was 12 years old and you didn't go to Walmart back in 1976, 1977, living on Long I used to live on Long Island, right? There was no Walmart there.
Yeah.
There was no there was no Targets or anything. You went to a stationery store where they had cards, greeting cards and other kinds of stuff and little statue things and candy and they had baseball cards up at the counter. And the cards were cheap, but they were in clear cellophane packs.
Mm-hmm.
So when I would walk up there and I would look and I would see the packs the guy had, I was looking at the top card and the back card because if I already had them and there's only 20 cards in the pack, why am I going to go ahead and buy that pack when I already have 2 of those?
It makes sense. You invented pack searching.
Right. So the pack searching thing has been going on forever. It's really nothing new. Things have changed from a standpoint of is the card shows have gotten, different and stuff like that. Obviously, the pricing has gone different. But back then, it was Dr. Beckett's magazine. It was like, if you didn't use that as a price guide, it was like, where the hell are you getting your price?
Mm-hmm.
Did you
Before
get that from
eBay and the internet.
Right.
Trade
Did you get that price out of Beckett? No. Where the hell did you get it then? Because you can't be right then. Because if it doesn't come from Beckett, I don't care. So like I'm saying, so certain things have changed, not necessarily different. They've just changed with the times. They've progressed with the times and everything. But the whole autograph thing, the pack searching, all that's been going on forever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is not something that that is new and stuff. And not doing wrong. Not saying it's done differently now because people of the value of the cards. When I was a kid and we did it, it was just because I'm only getting 20 cards. I'm not going to buy a pack where I already know I have 2 of them. Yeah.
I mean, there were no 1-of-1 RPA autographs in the packs that you were searching. Like the cards of you're trying to build out a set. You
weren't sitting there going,
yeah, get your little fine-tuned postal scale weighing packs.
This one's a little heavier. There's probably something really good in this one.
Yeah.
No, we didn't do anything like that. We looked at everything, and it's like I tell people all the time. I didn't know the value of cards. We didn't. I mean, now there are people who say, "Oh man, are you kidding me? When I was 12, 14 years old, I knew of something." God, good for you. God bless you. I'm glad you did. To me, there was nothing about trading value. I went through a pack of cards. If out of that pack of cards, I only needed because at that time, it was just basically you were doing tops, and you pretty much knew every card that you had.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You didn't have to wonder, because there wasn't 17 different parallels and 18 different sets, right? It was one set, and you knew what you had because we did. I mean, we were so much in the plane. We were so much into the sports cards. We jumped in that you would go through, and as you were looking through, you would, you'd hear 2 phrases: "Got 'em, need 'em, got 'em, need 'em." That's it. And all the ones that you had, me and my buddy Sean would be like, "Hey, I already have all of these." He'd be like, "Oh, I already have all of these." Okay, man, I need these 5. Okay, cool. I need these 3. Okay, it wasn't like, well, wait a minute, time out. Those 5 cards I have a value of $32. The ones you're picking only have a value of $22. We have to make up that $10. It wasn't anything like that. It was
For
here.
sure.
You need these 5.
It's been a communal hobby. Like,
mm-hmm.
there's so much community in sports cards, and some of that has definitely got lost with some of the personalities that have come into it. It's changed a lot. I don't know that introducing a lot of big money to the hobby is a bad thing. I'm not saying that, but it's definitely some of the personalities have changed. I've ran into so many more people on eBay that are only buying to profit. And it's very clear. Hey, I'm buying this to grade. I know you're not a professional grader, but what would you approximate this card would grade if I buy it? And will it give me a 10? And if not, I'm definitely returning it because I don't want a 9. You run into that kind of stuff now. And I think even just when I was buying and selling 2017, 2018, before all that stuff was just really taken off, it was so much more laid back. It was so like you described with your friend. Obviously, we were still trying to make money, but there wasn't Gary Vee saying, "Oh, we need to buy Giannis Prism rookies." Like that's going to be the next big thing. So just a lot of new personalities in the space, and the space is evolving because of it.
Yeah, and the prospect thing is, is nothing new. I remember, going to shows and hearing guys talk about, again, names you probably won't know, but Clint Hurdle. He turned into a manager, but Clint Hurdle, and guys be like, yeah, I bought 100 Clint Hurdle cards. He was like, what I mean, or there's another guy, Dom, a lot of guys will know this, but there's another guy with the Mets, Greg Jeffries. Oh my God, Greg Jeffries. His father used to throw him peas, and he used to hit peas with a bat. He's going to be able to go ahead and have like the best eye ever. He's going to go, he's going to be incredible. Oh, and you hear a guy to show, yeah, I have 100 Clint Hurdles. I have 75, Greg Jeffries and all this other kind of stuff, so, and obviously you don't know them. So they're not that great of players, but like George Brett, Robert Young, some of those guys, because those are the guys who took off like sons of a gun. So prospecting has always been that one piece that is hit or miss, from that standpoint. Now back then it's okay. You could buy, but a Greg Jeffries, rookie tops card, wasn't going for, $50. It might be going for $2. But the thought process was, man, this guy takes off. I'm going to have 100 of these. These cards are going to go to, people. I think back then, nobody was really thinking that a base card or I want to say, I just want more of a normal card would be in the thousands of dollars, right? It's like, man, this card may go to $40, $50. I paid $3 for it. That's great and everything from that standpoint, But I think it's, but like I said, as much as it has changed, it has stayed the same and evolved, and things have just gotten bigger, right? The money's gotten bigger. There you go, right there. Jeffries, Todd Van Poppel, Brian Taylor, and Kevin Moss. Those were guys
prospects.
You were chasing those dudes so hard. So hard. It was crazy.
It's just, that's human nature. Yeah. that's how guys are. Just over the evolution of time, we built cities literally with a gold rush of prospecting in its purest form. Everybody was trying to strike it rich, panning for actual gold, and it's a whole lot sexier to think about getting in early on these prospects and making vast sums of money when they hit. Then, like, if I was trying to make 7% every year, I'd just buy some mutual funds and just, let that ride. So that idea of swinging for the fences totally makes the hobby fun. But if you don't want to strike out entirely, you obviously got to hedge your bets. I think there's just like stock trading, you can control the risk in your portfolio. Like if we go out and we buy some, those, like I talked about earlier, graded Dick Butkus rookies, that's about as safe as an investment as you can make, because he's not going to get any bad press. They're going to go up over time. Every year they're going to be slightly more valuable. It's kind of like a blue chip stock sort of thing. Any graded vintage stuff is kind of a blue chip. And then I can go take a swing and say, listen, Jordan Poole's going to average 28 points a game this year with the Wizards and he's at an all-time low right now, so I'm going to buy his cards. And that's very risky. But, if it hits and he looks somehow, it was a bad example, but if he somehow looks good, if he looks like a NBA All-Star kind of guy, then That
No,
would be
but I think you're right. But I think when you think about it, though, it's more short-term stuff, right? Because when you look at, let's say, someone like a Jordan Poole, I don't think you're looking, him and going, he could be one of the greatest to ever play. Like, he just hasn't shown you enough to go ahead and say, man, I want to buy his for a long-term hold, right? I could see you saying, like, to me, he's type of thing. To your point, if all of a sudden he's playing great and somehow, like, you get his cards on the cheap, and then all of a sudden, he somehow makes the Wizards go ahead and go to the playoffs and does well in the playoffs. Again, that's that one time when you go, you know what? I'm not a super fan. I could use you can use a couple extra bucks.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and dump, and dump his cards.
I mean, and there's that level of like mid-tier player that I'd consider Jordan Poole a part of, or there's so many quarterbacks right now that just, they're not going to be in the history books in 20, 30 years from now. People don't remember their name. And realistically, unless you're a PC of those people for whatever reason, be it a college collection or just for some reason, like a super fan for one reason or another, collecting those mid-value guys is kind of just a race to monetize it or profit off it as quickly as possible, because you just don't want to be the last guy holding those cards when he retires. Like Ryan Tannehill, for example, he's one that comes to mind that, like, I flipped some Ryan Tannehill cards and he's been in the MVP conversation a few times, and I think I've made decent profit off it. But as soon as he retires and walks away, his cards aren't going to be worth much. Like, look at Matt Ryan, look at Joe Flacco, 2008 draft class guys. They were good. They were flirting with MVPs, won some Super Bowls, and their cards aren't worth much right now. So you don't want to necessarily be the last guy holding any of those guys. You want to exit at the right time, and that's where it gets so hard and unpredictable.
And I think that's the point when you're looking at certain things. Hall of Famers, vintage Hall of Famers, a lot of those cards, good investment and stuff, but some of those cards are not going to, it's not like you said, like a stock where all of a sudden something happens with a company and that stock can go ahead and skyrocket, right? Like, to your point, like a Dick Buckus type of thing, right? His rookie card is further away you get from it, it's going to go up, but all of a sudden, like, there's nothing that would make you think that all of a sudden something can happen and 5 days from now that makes his rookie card worth 10x than what it was today. Doesn't mean that it's not going to go up slowly as you get further away from his rookie year. Yeah, from that standpoint,
it's like buying Johnson and Johnson or some kind of just very safe, blue chip stock. And then if I go buy those Jared Stidhams, shoot, that's like buying, Dogecoin or just some kind of crazy, I could 10x on it, but I also don't want to be holding it in 10 years. Like, that's kind of where I'm at on both Stidham and a lot of crypto stuff.
Yeah, no, but you're right. I mean, he's one of those guys where you look, and like you mentioned, Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew is the same type of thing. If he does well, and he leads them, to the playoffs and everything, and his card values go up again, unless you're a super fan, why bother? Get in, get your money, and move on to the next thing. Buy that PC card you always wanted to buy that you always were coming up a little bit short to, or do some research and look at the next Gardner Minshew. To your point, Taylor Heineke. To your point. I mean, I heard there's something people talking like, who knows, the kid that's going to start with Chicago now.
Yeah, undrafted D2 guy. He holds every single D2 passing record, apparently.
Right.
But I can't tell you his name. I can't remember it.
No. But if Fields can't come back for a few weeks and all of a sudden he has a couple of good games or something like that, you could see some of his cards,
100%.
Go do some stupid stuff and but again, it's being smart and saying, you know what? I'm not a long-term fan. Let me get in and get out and everything. The ones that, seem to, pay the price or that don't reap the benefit are the ones who, again, are afraid of, the they're afraid and go, if it goes up $10 more, that's $10 I wouldn't have. And it's like, no, look, sell it and don't look back. You made your money. Okay. You think about it from this standpoint. If you bought it for $1 and you sold it for $10 and you made $9, don't look back if all of a sudden it's now $12. Because guess what? The person who bought it for 10, they've only made 2.
Yeah,
it has to double for them to make what you made. It's the same return. So it's like, don't look back, just sell it and move on to the next thing.
It is, and it's one of those, like, just trying to balance the amount of risk you assume with sports card collecting. I think if I was real smart, I'd probably buy, Mahomes, Brady, and Joe Namath, like just some kind of mix of active, recently retired, and old veteran or vintage graded something of Namath, like that kind of stuff. All 3 of those cards will probably go up indefinitely. And like you said, I don't want to be holding, I love Gardner Minshew. I don't want to be holding his cards in 2030, 2035. They won't be worth anything.
Right.
But sometimes it's like, it's that allure of being able to, like, oh man, I'm going to, like you said, I'm going to 10X, even if you 10X 10 $5 cards, you make enough profit to invest in somebody for long-term hold. Like I just bought a Drew Brees rookie, and I don't think it's going to go up anything dramatically over the next few years. It'll get a bump when he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, but hopefully it'll just be one of those that progressively just kind of creeps up. But
no, I'm with you there. I mean, it's the investing part of the hobby. It's really been it's been moved into the form, more now than it was. But like you say, flipping cards and everything has always been a part of it. What do you think? I mean, what did you think? I don't understand what people think. Do they think in the 70s and 80s when there were card shows, what did they think it was? Just people walking in looking at cards?
Just for their PC. Now, flipping's always been a part of it.
Look, I'm just going to walk around. It's just like looking at someone else's cards. No, they were for sale. And if you wanted it, you bought it. I mean, just like it happens today. If you go to the National, right? You see it, you like it. If you can afford it, you buy it, and you want it, stuff like that. So, like I said,
flipping is just an age-old story. It's always part of it. It's just I don't know why so many people are. Well, I take that back. When people were literally pitching tents on the aisles of Target for like Prism release the next day, that's when it got annoying. But so I get the disdain for flipping, because some of these guys that showed up in their pajamas, and I'm like, my man, you haven't showered in 4 days. Like, they did that to flippers. Right. But I mean, I'm a flipper, and I will admit that I do flip, but just I buy people that I think I can sell for more money than I bought them for in 6 months. And that's kind of, business. So,
yeah, like you're saying, you're not, you weren't following around the rep from Target to Target to Target, waiting for them to go ahead, and empty out and everything like that. So it, it's like I said, there are. I think the difference you have is that now with the all of a sudden with the RPA, with the RPAs, or with the patch cards, with the numbered cards, with the autographs, that's kind of where the investment has gotten bigger, right? People always invested, they invested in rookies and Hall of Famers prior and stuff like that. And I'm not talking about, the T206 and the Mickey Man, that type of stuff, right? But people always invested, in the Nolan Ryans, the George Bretts, all those, type of guys. And you're coming into the 90s, those guys, and so on and so forth. I think where the whole investment part and it really kind of took off was when all of a sudden now it was, a rookie patch auto. It was a rookie auto, or just a rookie patch, or a low numbered card, stuff like that. That's where I think, more people looked from an purely investment standpoint. I think that's what brought some more people into it.
For sure. It became a more clear-cut way to diversify investments. When they started low numbering stuff and treating it like fine art, basically, it really just kind of validated sports cards as that alternative investment. And I definitely, I treat it as an alternative investment. I have some cards that I think will age reasonably well, but it's never going to be anything where like, well, if all my cards went to crap, then I can't feed my family. I know a lot of people that invest in cards like that, and like that's their go-to, but I'm not that ballsy, I'll tell you. I mean, I love sports cards, but I'm not. I'd throw $100,000 at something a little bit safer before a lot of that stuff.
There are people out there who look at, you know, sports cards as like a 401k.
Truly,
and
I know several of them,
and
and
I
it's
think
impressive.
I think, you know, for the ones that can make it work, God bless you. But unfortunately, I think there are more on the other side that it doesn't work, where then there are the ones that it does work for. You know, from that standpoint. But
absolutely.
But hey, man, we've been going for an hour and 45. I don't want to keep you any longer. I know you're a busy guy. So as we go ahead and chat, thanks a lot as always for being here. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. Don't forget, if you haven't subbed to Jesse, please go ahead and do all the information down below. Check out all his stuff and everything. Any parting words?
No, I totally appreciate it. I've enjoyed getting to talk for a couple of hours. It flew by. It really didn't seem like that long. So we've been, we'll keep following Huddle and keep making some awesome content. We've been publishing long form videos every Monday, Wednesday, and on Friday mornings I do a weekly recap of just the big headlines from the week previous. So if you want to hop in and check that out, it'd be cool. And we'd love to have you aboard Cardlines. And thanks again to Huddle for having us come on and talk. I say us like there's like multiple, but whatever.
Yeah. You guys do any lives?
We're getting into it. We've did a few in the past, but it's about to take off quite a bit more. We've only been doing like 2.5 months ago. I said, you know what? Let's make some videos because I hang out with TikTokers all day, and I thought this would be kind of fun. Like my comedian buddy inspired me to make some videos, and then the YouTube following, I mean, we're at almost 1,000 after only taking it serious for about 2.5 months. I'm like, let's just keep kind of going. And then they brought aboard some people that actually know what they're doing from like a TV background that are kind of helping with the video stuff. So I think they're going to get into some live breaking of some sort. I told Rob, I was like, we have a newsletter we send out 3 times a week. And it's like, I love you guys and I love doing the newsletter. I love doing the daily videos, 2 or 3 articles a week. I do not have time to blog because Cardlines is not even like my full-time job. But we will be doing that sort of stuff at some point soon.
Very cool.
All right.
Well, hey, chat. Thanks a lot. Appreciate each and every one of you. Don't go anywhere yet there, Jesse, until I go ahead and shut down. Thanks a lot, everybody. Don't forget, next Wednesday night, we should be on Anthony's channel. I'm not sure if we have a guest lined up yet. But we are working on getting more hobby people to come on and spend some time with us. So thanks a lot, every one of you. See you guys next week.